Let me take a few minutes and go over the opportunities with the 9/11 Car Injury Doctors Network. And there's been tremendous opportunities that are now available because of several factors. Number one is live streaming. So many people have just gotten used to live streaming and gotten comfortable with it. So it's really broke open the market, number one. Two is doing live streaming through your website. And the reason that's important is it creates credibility for you, the individual doctor. Number three is video, and that's important because 55% of how we communicate is visual. And number four is the pre-recorded video. Everything that I do live streaming will be recorded and it will be repurposed in many, many ways. And you'll see that here in just a second. And then the opt-in email automated follow-up. And remember, you increase your statistics over 50% with the follow-up. And that's so important. Follow-up is so unbelievably important, especially video follow-up. So that's the opt-in email automated follow-up where you opt in, and you've done this before, where you opt in, and then you periodically get information. So that's going to be tremendous with the follow-up, having it all automated. And then a strong network. We're branding the 9/11 Car Injury Doctors Network. And remember, attorneys, especially attorneys, they like numbers. They'd rather not work with individual offices. They'd rather work with groups, especially if they know the group knows what it's doing. And of course, that's everything about this is the 9/11 Car Injury Doctors is being promoted and marketed that we do the documentation very specifically and correct. We do the narrative reports very specifically and correct, depositions and trial testimony. So it's a very specific method and strategy so they know they can go, and that's what they're being sold on. That's what I'm going to be selling them on. That's what I'll be selling your attorneys on. And of course, you'll be the local 9/11 car injury doctor provider that will give them the reassurances of everything we said that we would do. So there's going to be tremendous consistency. And that's what everybody wants. Everybody likes consistency in any and everything we do. So let's go into some of these opportunities. It's really looking good. And as we progress, we'll be laying them out and showing them how they work specifically. Number one is one of the lists that we get is the personal injury attorneys for the county. And we get that list. And there's several ways, there's ways we can market to them. We can do direct mail marketing to them. We can do the opt-in. Of course, the great thing about the opt-in is they not only get the initial pre-recorded educational sales presentation, but they get the regular and weekly follow-up, which reinforces. And if they choose, they can come on live. So they'll have the ability to plug into the live presentations. So the opt-in is really strong for the follow-up. Phone calls are obviously, they're going to be better than direct mail to engage the target market. And a personal invitation will be even stronger than a phone call or direct mail. And we may use a combination of direct mail, phone call with a personal invitation with multiple times. And of course, that actually works the best. And live stream speaker, to where I'm going to be able to do live streaming right from my office pretty much anytime we want to any group and any gathering, except now we're going to be able to leverage it off into all these doctors' offices throughout the nation at the exact same time, as opposed to, when I'd go to one hotel and there'd be 20 or 30 attorneys there. Well, it was limited to those 20 or 30 attorneys, in that area. Now we're going to be able to just really do a massive job of throughout with a lot of doctors, not just one. So that live streaming speaker, there's a lot of potential. And we'll go into some of the ways that plays out. And of course, the Trial Lawyers Association, those are the big dogs right there. Those are the people that do personal injury for a living. They know personal injury. They're not afraid to go to court. And eventually you want your knowledge and skill level to be strong enough to go there. And there's many ways we're going to market there. And I'll cover these when we get to them, is advertising in the newsletter to drive them to all the different forms that we have, whether it's an opt-in or a live presentation. And same thing, direct mail, personal invitation, phone call, opt-in. But one of the other benefits here is being a live stream speaker is where the 911 Carpentry doctors actually line up with their local Trial Lawyers Association a live streaming presentation. We're going to be able to do that because I don't have to fly all over the country. So it's going to be unbelievably easy for me to do a live streaming presentation to your local Trial Lawyers Association live. And of course, also record it and capture them for the follow-up and the reinforcement. So it's just phenomenal, the potential we're looking at here. And of course, the other group of attorneys we contact is the existing attorneys. And there's all the different ways that we're going to talk. And again, when we go into actually marketing into these different categories, I'll go into detail and specifics. But some ways are obviously work better than others, like I've said, whether it's a personal invitation, phone call, direct mail, opt-in. And it's, again, we can do the live speaker presentation combined with the opt-in automated follow-up and with periodic live presentations, which is fantastic. And then the live presentations quarterly with CLE, continuing legal education credits. Now this is essentially the hotel presentation that I did, and it was basically 3 hours. It was like 6:30 to 9:30, something like that on a Thursday night. And we invited them for dinner. We made it continuing legal education hours. And I went through the whole sales presentation. That works the best. That's unbelievably. So we can set those up when we want. We'll be doing them at least every 4 months, something like that, to do the live and to not only to reinforce the existing attorneys, but to bring in more attorneys into the referral network. So those live presentations are going to be phenomenal. Local personal injury attorney group meetings. You'd be surprised how many different, and again, this depends on the size and population of your county. But some counties have 2 Trial Lawyers Association, like a northern and a southern group within the same county. So the live personal injury attorney groups, so that's going to be, the local attorney group meetings, and I'll show you how to find that out. Specifically, the groups that are dealing with that include some form of personal injury. So they have lunches and learns. They have a whole variety of things: evening meetings, weekend seminars, lunches and learns. Just like any other group. Actually, they even have more because their group's larger. So they offer a lot more, typically, way more than chiropractic groups. And then there's Google pay-per-click marketing, and we'll go into exact detail how to use that with the keywords, with the video series opt-in follow-up. That's definitely going to be worth doing. LinkedIn marketing for personal injury attorneys. Remember, that's a professional network. So we'll go into how to use LinkedIn and really what we want to do there is multiple, get them to the opt-ins, get them to the live presentations, all that kind of stuff. But the number one thing is to get them to the opt-in, into the list, so they can be regularly communicated with, announcements being made, all that. That's what's so important, is get them in the list, what's called the email list. And then there's Facebook marketing for personal injury attorneys. And again, it can be targeted only to attorneys in your local area and only attorneys that are dealing with personal injury. So it's unbelievably specific. So the message only goes to those people on Facebook. So that's well worth it. And again, that's with the opt-in follow-up series. They get the educational sales with the automated follow-up. That works really well. And then the website for your personal injury attorney marketing. So the content for your website. We'll go into greater detail down the road here, but there's going to be actually one page that is essentially attorney page, and it's going to have about 2 or 3 or 4 very specific sub pages on that page, and it's going to be just for attorneys dealing with the information that they want. So we'll go into that as we go down the road here. Here's an example. It's not just the educational sales presentation, But one of the topics that's really hot for them is how to handle the documentation necessary to handle the pre-existing injury. Well, that alone will be an opt-in. Same with how to the documentation necessary to defend against the low property damage. Well, again, that'll be a standalone video opt-in series. And those are topics they readily want. Okay, now moving on from the attorneys, remember we're going to be doing the same thing essentially for going after the personal injury patients. So these are some of the marketing opportunities with the live streaming. First of all, the website for the personal injury marketing, the videos and the opt-in for your website. And we'll go into the top 3 topics, and it'll be the same thing. We'll have a main page for auto injury patients. And then there'll be 2 or 3 sub pages with opt-ins, very specific for the high demand topics. And then Google pay-per-click opt-in video series. That's highly recommended to do Google Pay when you do it right. Remember, when you do all these things right, it significantly magnifies your return on investment and works very well. One of them is make sure you got the right keywords, your right geographic radius of draw, your right demographic, and then the right message, and then you're capturing them with an educational sales video series. That all of those things are unbelievably important, or to be honest with you, it's not worth doing. Same with Facebook pay-per-click. That's the only way you'd really do that is with an opt-in for the educational sales video series and the follow-up series. Otherwise, it's not worth doing. But that can be unbelievably targeted also for the auto injury patients. And then the direct mail marketing opt-in video series. Some clients have access after 30 days to the auto injuries in their county. And that's totally fine because remember, most of these patients don't go to chiropractors right away. They typically wait and then they go to their GP. That's kind of how it works. And then down the road, when they get to an attorney, then sometimes they're sent to a chiropractor. But remember, 2/3 of them still are not. 2/3 of auto injuries do not go to chiropractors, even though 87% of the injuries are soft tissue. So, and same with attorneys. Most attorneys don't work with chiropractors. So the opportunity is tremendous if you're using educational sales. So these are some of the huge, this is when it gets big too, when you do radio spots using pre-recorded. So these presentations we're going to do are going to be pre-recorded of the live presentations for personal injury patients. And some of these radio stations are unbelievably cheap because there's so many radio stations. So you can segment out. You can essentially make it to where you're out, take one of these each of these series that we're doing from the video, because we're going to make them about 20 minutes long, and it can literally be for your radio. And just rip the audio portion from the video, and there you are. There's your radio spot. Remember, if you're looking at the one case only being $3,000 to $5,000, that alone could pay for as much as being on the radio every Saturday all year. Same with TV spots. We're going to be able to take these pre-recorded videos because I'm recording everything, video recording everything. And you're going to be able to use them for local TV spots. And again, it's the same thing. Some of these cable TV networks are unbelievably inexpensive relative to the return. So, and then of course you would just tie your name to it in the beginning and the end as being one of the 9/11 car injury doctors for that area. So, billboard advertising, and again, that's driving them to the opt-in video series. So I'm real anxious to test that out, to be honest with you. And again, you have to have a captivating message. But we know the number one message that patients want that's Googled is how much money do they make for their injury. So it'll be along some of these lines that are only dealing with the top 3 subjects that the auto injury patient asks. Otherwise, we're not going to be paying a lot of attention to that. But that has a lot of potential, depending on the traffic, the cost, all that, to just drive them to an opt-in. Remember, a lot more people will go to an opt-in or call an 800 number if they know somebody's not on the other line. If they can get their information without talking to a salesperson, a lot of people will do that as opposed to if they think they got to talk to a salesperson. And of course, it takes them through the educational sales series with the follow-up. And then the medical association. Now this one's big, uh, where we can actually set up where you actually talk at your local medical associations to start creating those contacts and referral sources. And remember, medical associations are like attorneys, unlike chiropractic, in that they're large. They offer a lot of diversity, like lunch and learns, evening, uh, during the weekday events, weekend events. And remember, everybody's always looking for a speaker now because it's a 24/7 news cycle. So these are just some tremendous opportunities, and it all starts with being a 9/11 car injury doctor in the network, and then we start with the live streaming through your website. We capture it, and then we leverage it in all of these different forms and fashion. And of course, I'll be going into great detail when we do each one of these. I'll be going into great detail of exactly what to do and how to do it, et cetera, et cetera. But the most important thing will be there, which is the content. So in all the different formats, whether it's live streaming, recorded, automated follow-up, just it's fantastic, all the potential opportunities that are getting ready to open up here. So that's what we're looking at with being in the network with one of the 9/11 car injury doctors. And you'll just be the local 9/11 car injury doctor, and you get the benefits of all the marketing that we create and spread around and do live.